being a parent, being a high sensation seeking, highly sensitive person, being a parent? What does it mean? How does it feel? And maybe what are the good strategies, maybe sometimes coping strategies that you could share with someone who might feel that actually they are getting overwhelmed a little bit by the whole experience of parenting, which is quite demanding.
Right, exactly. It's a little overwhelming for anybody. If you're a highly sensitive parent, it can be a bit much. And I often see that on some of the social media forums, the younger people that are saying, I'm considering having children, but I imagine it would be completely overwhelming. Well, the answer is yes, but you also learn to cope and deal with it over time. In other words, none of us come to parenting actually knowing how to do it. We learn as we go, and hopefully we don't make too awful many mistakes along the way. But at the same time, we're also our own individual person. And sometimes we get lost in the parenting role, and we forget that we're also human beings, and we had a story, a narrative, before we had children. So I think there's an important part of that nurturing your own self as an individual, as a spiritual entity, as someone who needs downtime yourself. And taking care of yourself, I think, becomes really important as a parent. Harder still if you are a high sensation seeking, highly sensitive person who's a parent, because you have that continual need for new stimulation. I mean, it's not like you're not able to sit still or not able to focus, but you do have a need for variety and for new experiences and novelty. And so I think you can make that work quite successfully with children, in that you'll simply put it to work for them to a certain extent without ignoring your own needs. But I found that's what I did as a parent, as a high sensation seeking, sensitive person. I found that I channeled that into productive means for my children, that I got them involved in reading groups, and then I was participating myself. One of the things I did when they got a little bit older was we got into sports. So my daughters were great softball players, and I became a coach. So we had these shared experiences, but they're also growth experiences for me, because again, I was an introvert. So I was pushing myself to embrace new roles for my children, but they also were something that was good for me. And we did that for years. And so I think there's ways to twine the two together so that it works for you as a growth experience, but also provides those opportunities for your children as they're growing to have those opportunities to encounter the world, to encounter other people, and to begin to think about how their traits work and how they can manage things in the real world environment, because the real world is quite challenging. So it's the self-care component, it's your career component. It's like what you do for a career. Well, you have to manage that while you're a parent at the same time. And so the more you can adapt your life to your needs, the better it's going to work for you. That seems really simplistic, but it's hard in today's world to do that. But there are also more opportunities than ever before to make that happen. And so that's very encouraging, that there are people who are able to derive an income or income streams from different kinds of endeavors. So it seems the wave of the future almost is not only the gig economy or side gigs or side hustles, but multiple income streams. And being a little more prudent with our money and how we spend it and how we save it and how we invest it, and identifying what's really important in life and how we want to live, how we want to spend our time. So the more meaningful your life is as an individual, if you're not even considering your children, I think the better it's going to be overall, because eventually your children will be grown and gone, they'll be on their own, and you will still return to who you are. But there shouldn't be a return to who you are, because you should have remained that person all along. You simply had a growth experience along the way as a parent. And then you'll become a grandparent at some point, hopefully.
And that's another new growing experience for
It's another growing experience, and I tell you, it's a better one.
I've heard this. I have some hopes for the future.